Truth Unveiled here, and today we're going to be talking about spying and spying programs, but I'm going to tell you that this goes much deeper than you think, because if you don't think Big Brother is watching you, well, he is. And I'm going to show you and tell you how deep this rabbit hole goes and the real agenda behind this and what they're really getting ready for. So here I am at the week, and it talks about Samsung, and I don't know if you heard about this, but Samsung warns its customers not to discuss personal information in front of their smart televisions. And it says Samsung has confirmed that its smart TV sets are listening to customers' every word, and the company is warning customers not to speak about personal information while near the TV sets. The company revealed that the voice activation feature on its smart TVs will capture all nearby conversations. The TV sets can share the information, including sensitive data, with Samsung as well as third-party services. And the news came after Shane Harris at the Daily Beast pointed out a troubling line in Samsung's privacy policy, and it states, and I quote, "Please be aware that if your spoken words include personal or other sensitive information, that information will be among the data captured and transmitted to a third party." Who is that third party? I'll let you answer that on your own. But it goes on to say Samsung has now issued a new statement clarifying how the voice activation feature works. If a consumer consents and uses the voice recognition feature, voice data is provided to a third party during a requested voice command search, Samsung said in a statement. At that time, the voice data is sent to a server which searches for the requested content, then returns the desired content to the TV. And of course, they're trying to update their policy to make it seem in question because they're good at lying. But don't get it twisted, because trust me, there are other companies doing this, and even apps are doing this as well as software such as your computer softwares and the apps that you download on your phone and TVs and whatever. They're doing this as well, because what are they doing? Well, they tell you that, oh, privacy policy, and oh, we want to access your information, your public information, and they always ask you that and ask you to consent to that. What do you think they're taking that information for? What do you think they're going to do with that information? Who do you think is going to take it, and what do you think they're going to use it for? But if you thought it was just Samsung, well, think again, because here I am at Fusion, and it even talks about it's not just Samsung TVs, lots of other gadgets are spying on you, and here's some other ones that are mainly spying on you, and it talks about it here. And of course we went over the Samsung, but trust me, there are more. The LG Smart TV, they're also spying on you as well with voice capture. So what can they do? They can capture every word you use, and then what? Take that to the government for what? To see if you are a potential so-called terrorist, to see if you are a so-called political dissident, because that is what they're being used for. And who's behind it? The same people who are behind our government, the same people who are funding both sides of the war, the Jewish Zionists. Correct. But it goes on to talk about other privacy policies, and don't get it twisted, it's many more. It's Xbox as well. They're spying on you too, using technology to track every movement, motion, and even calculate changes in your heart rate. Now, if that's not scary, I don't know what is. And don't forget the Kinect, of course, and Amazon Echo. Now, I don't have Amazon Echo, but of course, they claim that it's only interested in recording and transmitting what you say, but really we know what it's doing. They're trying to record everything you do and say. For what? For mind control. For what? To see if you are a political terrorist, to see if you're a political dissident, because they need to fight off this threat and go along with Operation Depopulation any way they can. And I wouldn't be surprised if your Apple computer is also spying and recording on every single word you do and being transmitted to the government, CIA, and FBI, even as we speak, because it would not surprise me if that's the case. But don't get it twisted, it's also GPS systems in your car companies as well. They can track your location, they can track where you are. It's also on Google Maps and other places where if you have location turned on your phone, they can track your your every move. Yes, that is correct. And I'm not saying this to try to scare you. I'm saying this so that you are aware that you are being tracked. Your every single move and step is being tracked. Everything you search on Google is being tracked. Your every email's being tracked. Your every email's being read before it's even sent by your government. But that's not all. Like I said, you'd be surprised how much the government is spying on us. I'm telling you, this goes much deeper than you think it does. But here I am at ACLU, and it even talks about how FBI documents reveal new information on Baltimore surveillance flights. So what did this has to do? This had to do with the Baltimore riots that were going on, and how the government and the FBI were spying on these riots. And don't get it twisted, half of these so-called riots that were going on were infiltrated and conducted and staged by the government to begin with, but now they have to spy on you to see if you're going to be involved, to see if they could put you on a so-called political dissident list, because you could be a potential terrorist just for even listening and watching this video. And that's just the truth. But it says the director of the FBI confirmed to Congress last week that the agency flew surveillance aircraft over Ferguson, Missouri, and Baltimore during the protests following the police killings of Michael Brown and Freddie Gray. Don't get it twisted, they're also doing this in other cities as well on a daily basis. And I'm going to show you that and prove that to you in just a minute. But it says today the ACLU is releasing FBI and FAA documents with new details about the Baltimore surveillance flights. And it gives the documents below, and it tells them how the FBI is using advanced technology like infrared and night vision cameras and holding on to surveillance video recorded from the sky. Why are they recording? Why are they spying, you may be wondering? I'm going to answer that in just a second. But what are they doing? Problem solution, problem reaction solution. It's the same thing. Like I said in a few of my other videos, we know for a fact that at least for Michael Brown and Trayvon Martin, we know that that was staged by the Illuminati as well. You can look up their parents and you'll see that their parents are in fact Freemasons. Freemasonry, the Illuminati. It was all a big psyop and a big setup for what? Martial law. They are getting ready for this big time. And the article goes on to talk about what the guy said in the memo, which we know the conclusion is they're spying on us. But here are the actual documents that you can look up on your free time. I'm going to leave the link below. I would look them up now, but it would take a ton of time. But I want to turn your attention to the Huffington Post, actually, where they talk about FBI confirms wide-scale use of surveillance flights over U.S. cities. You heard that correctly. So when you hear those planes or those random planes in the air, or you see random helicopters in the air, just know that it's what? It's the government spying on you, recording everything that they can pick up to see if you are a so-called terrorist, to see if you're anti-government, anti-Jewish Zionism, anti-this, anti-that. For what? So that they can put you on a tracking list come martial law, and then take you to a FEMA camp, or even worse, just do whatever they will. But I'm telling you this to tell you what? It goes much deeper than you think. But it says the FBI is operating a small air force with scores of low-flying planes across the U.S. carrying video and at times cell phone surveillance technology, all hidden behind fictitious companies that are fronts for the government, the AP has learned. Yes, you heard that right. What is your government doing? And they're even admitting to doing this, that they've conducted what? Fake tests and fake companies to do what? To justify spying on you. Cell phone surveillance. By the way, I did another report on cell phones and how dangerous cell phones are when it comes to radiation and when it comes to your health, because they're the reasons and they could be the causes for certain diseases. And who's behind that? The WHO, the CDC, all of the alphabet soups working and conspiring together to feed us an alphabet soup for depopulation. It's the same thing. But it says the plane surveillance equipment is generally used without a judge's approval, and the FBI said the flights are used for specific ongoing investigations. What investigations? In a recent 30-day period, the agency flew above more than 30 cities in 11 states across the country. And who knows, this could be fabricated as well, because I don't believe a word Huffington Post Post tells me either, because they lie as well. There's no way that that's only in 11 states. No, they're doing this nationwide, I'm telling you. And they're probably doing it worldwide too. We don't know. But I'm telling you this to tell you that this is going on in a sky near you. But that's not the only thing. It says that aerial surveillance represents a changing frontier for law enforcement, providing what the government maintains is an important tool in criminal, terrorism, or intelligence probes. Yes, because that's the excuse they have to keep giving us. We're doing it in the name of terrorism. We're doing it in the name to combat terrorism and combat threats and combat political dissidents. That's why we're doing it. No, they're doing it to spy on you to see if you're a political dissident to put you into FEMA camps. It's time to wake up. But it says the FBI even confirmed for the first time the wide-scale use of the aircraft, which the AP traced to at least 13 fake companies. And note the number 13, such as FVX Research, KQM Aviation, NBR Aviation, and PXW Services. They're fake companies. Even basic aspects of the program are withheld from the public and censored versions of official reports from the Justice Department's Inspector General. Why would they need to keep that hidden? Why all the mental psyop going on here? What could be the bigger agenda here? Here are some of the cities that they say that they targeted, including Houston, Phoenix, Seattle, Chicago, Boston, Minneapolis, and Southern California. But I would not be surprised if it's more. It's most likely all of America because they're good at lying. Not only that, but they even lie and say that officials say cell phone surveillance is rare. But no, that's how they track your every move. I don't care if you have a Cricket cell phone to, the latest iPhone, that they're still tracking you, and they're doing it for what? Getting ready for martial law. Now I'm going to leave that link below as well so you can see that. But this is a picture of one of those so-called spy planes or FBI planes that they're using in the sky. If you see a plane that looks like this or even a helicopter, just know that you could be potentially spying on you. Just know that everything you say and do could be held against you, including watching this video right now, because I'm telling you the deception goes much deeper than you think. But I just wanted to show you quickly how one of these planes actually look. So that you have an idea of just how it looks and just how deep this goes. But if you think it stops there and you think the spying is just with those things I've just highlighted, think again. Here I am at Larson Camouflage, and the reason I'm here at this place is because I want to show you secretive cell towers that your government is conspiring against. And what are they doing? They are secretly building guard towers and cell towers in places that you wouldn't even know. For example, they're using and conspiring with companies such as this one to build cell towers in places that you'd never see. You see, it may look like a tree, but is it really? I'm telling you, the deception goes much deeper than you think. And here they have some other ones with the cactus, and then here they have some with the cell phone tower in random buildings, and of course in a tree, which you can't even see. They make it very hidden and concealed, and of course they have over 3,000 site concealment projects worldwide, and of course there's more than just this one, but they also have one in bushes, and one in bushes like this, and of course on pole flags. I'm telling you, this goes much deeper than you think. But the reason I'm talking about cell towers is because when you do the research on cell towers and the scalar waves and the ELFs and all the frequencies, you start to see that that is one way that they do what? Mind control, is through these towers and through these cell lines. That is how they do it, through cell towers, because it emits what? Frequencies, and frequencies emit what? Radiation. That's how they try to dumb down the population, and as well with cell phones. And you can watch my cell phone report on radiation, where it's even been proven by scientists that if you put a cell phone in your pocket, at least for males, that you lose sperm count. That is a fact. Why? Depopulation. Operation Depopulation, the UN Agenda 2030. And it's no surprise that today Google and the UN would put up that, and YouTube as well, would put up all this UN, support women propaganda today, and then even talk about the sustainable goals and sustainable development. I'm telling you, it all goes with what? Operation Depopulation. It may sound good to the ears, but I'm telling you, there's a bigger agenda with all of this, and it's not the agenda that you think. Here I am at IntelliStreets, and of course, what is their slogan and motto? Sustainability, security, and entertainment. Oh, because they always have to mention this word sustainability. What does this have to do with sustainability? I don't know. But I'm telling you for a fact that I'm telling you your street lights are also involved with this too. Your government is hiring companies like this to do what? Spy on you with street lights. Oh my goodness, it goes much deeper than you think. And this is actually under the DHS, who's behind and responsible for this. But what does it do? They have smart grid street light and they have all the features that come with it. Why would they need an image sensor for proximity sensors, pedestrian counter, and homeland security? Why would they need that unless they are tracking your every move, unless they are tracking to see if you are a dissident? Why would they need that there? What is the big agenda? And like I said, Wi-Fi 2 with radiation. It seems like a two for one. Depopulation, spying on the public, and fulfilling the agenda of the New World Order, satanic one world government. For who? The Jewish Zionists. Here I am at the BBC, and mind you, this article came out in 2007, so over 9 years ago. You can only imagine how much they have been and progressed with the technology, but this is specifically for the UK. But oh, don't get it twisted, they're doing this worldwide. But it says, could X-ray scanners work on the street? And I did report, like I said, on radiation that talked about what X-rays and what radiation and how dangerous it really is and how it causes infertility, dumbing down, brain tumors, and other diseases, and even allergies as well. It causes all these bad things. Problem, reaction, solution. But it says X-ray cameras that would undress passerbys in a bid to thwart terrorists concealing weapons could be coming to a street near you, according to reports. Aside from the obvious privacy issues, would such a plan work? Leaked documents said to have been drawn up by the Home Office and seen by the Sun newspaper say cameras which can see through clothes could be built into lampposts to trap terror suspects. And that's what they want us to believe. And how do they do that? With X-ray scanner technology to scan your every move to see what you have and to see if you're a potential terrorist, if you have something, if you have weapons of mass destruction, because they tried pulling that with Iraq and much of the world believed it, at least the sleeping public did. Will they try it again with you in order to convince that you are a political dissident and need to be taken to a FEMA camp and quarantined because of it? Oh, of course they will, because that is what they're trying to do. I'm telling you, with this so-called war on terror and the rumors of war, what are they really trying to do with it? They are trying to make you into the problem, make you seem like, oh, you're a threat, you're a terrorist, and you're a threat to national security. That's why we got to take you into a FEMA camp and quarantine you so that you're not a threat to the government. Very, very ironic indeed. Now, the very last place I want to take you to is the Department of Homeland Security, and talking about fusion centers and the role of them and how important they are if you haven't already heard about them. But the reason I'm talking about this is because they claim to build them for the role of countering violent extremism and countering terrorism. Yeah, because that's what they're really countering. No, I'm telling you, problem, reaction, solution. Why was the DHS created anyway? Because of, 9/11 terrorism. Oh my goodness. Oh, give me a break. But anyway, it says state and major urban area fusion centers serve as focal points within the state and local environment for the receipt, analysis, gathering, and sharing of threat-related information between the federal government and state, local, tribal, territorial, and private sector partners. In other words, what does that mean? It means that what? Your state and federal local governments are doing what? They are collecting every little thing about you, every information. So whether you go fill out a form somewhere or whether you have to go file your taxes, which are unconstitutional, whatever it is that you're doing, they are collecting this information and they're taking it to these fusion centers in which the DHS and all these other alphabet soups are using to do what? To conspire and to see and to place you on a so-called list to see if you are deemed a terrorist or not. If you know about the New World Order, if you even suspect about it, or if you even look into conspiracy theories, or if you even talk bad about your government, you could be considered a terrorist. And so they have to put you on a worldwide list for that in order to combat political dissidents, in order to combat violent extremists, in order to combat the problems that they cause. Because I don't know if you know this either, but what does your government do as well? Not only do they do this, but they also do what? They go into urbanized neighborhoods, they drug traffic and bring in drugs to these urbanized areas, and then they blame it on so-called people in these neighborhoods, whether black, brown, white, Asian, it doesn't matter what color you are. That is what they do, and that is how they what serve the incarceration system. But that's not all. They do that too to serve what? The purposes of what? Spying on you. And this is how they do it. And it's in states and urban areas all around. And it's what? And empower frontline law enforcement, public safety, fire service, emergency response, public health, critical infrastructure protection, and private sector security personnel to understand local implications of national intelligence, thus enabling local officials to better protect their communities. More like they are conspiring with them in order to spy on us more and more. And of course, they say the current threat environment and role of fusion centers in national security, because in the name of national security, we have to do this, and there's always a threat somewhere. Give me a break. I mean, honestly, but it says both at home and abroad, the U.S. faces an adaptive enemy and an asymmetric threat environment. Events since May 2009 have demonstrated that the threat to the homeland is not abating. The National Network of Fusion Centers is uniquely situated to empower frontline law enforcement, public safety, and we just went over that. And it says the federal government must continue to integrate and leverage fusion centers to enlist all of our intelligence, law enforcement, homeland security capabilities to prevent acts of terrorism on American soil. Acts of terrorism that they're the ones causing. Oh, it's so ironic, isn't it? But like I said, you could come here and read it and check it out yourself. Honestly, I could go ranting on about this because it's just hilarious to me and very, very ironic indeed. But I'm telling you, it's good to be in the know. It's good to know just what time it is, and it's good to know the real purpose. Because like I said, what are they doing this for? They're getting ready for martial law. They're getting ready for detention camps. They're getting ready for FEMA camps. They're getting ready to put you in a FEMA camp any way they can. But the only way they can do that is how? Through this. And will you be awoke and be heeding the warnings? Because I'm telling you, this goes much deeper than you think. That is why you need to continue to prepare spiritually if you already haven't. Seek Yahuwah and his true son Yahusha, because I'm telling you, things are only going to get worse. This is Truth Unveiled. Shalom.